In this video, I'm going to show you how I join to work in the round when I have a lot of stitches and making sure that my stitches don't twist when I join. And I'm using my azalea top as our example. So when working in the round, you're initially told to cast on a certain amount of stitches, which as you can see, I have my long circular and I've cast on a bunch of stitches. Then it typically will say to place marker and join for working in the round. But in azalea here, I cast on and then I knit one row before I joined. By knitting one row first, it helps to add just a little bit of weight to the stitches, and this can help a little with avoiding twists. So that's just a little tip that you can do in any other project as well. But let me show you the joining part. So regardless of whether or not you cast on and join right away, or if you cast on and knit a row first, these steps are still going to be the same regardless. So first, you kind of want to get yourself situated. I recommend working on a flat table, so don't do this on your lap. It's definitely more helpful to have it laid flat on a table. The right needle tip here, that's the one that is attached to the working yarn. So here's my working yarn here. You want this to be on your right side here. And then what you want to do, I'm just going to lift this up so you can see. I'm going to start pushing my stitches to the other end so that my last stitch over here is close to the needle tip. So there we go. And this is just my tail end over here. Now, most patterns will say to join to work in the round, making sure not to twist the stitches. So let me show you what that means. So let me move this over. So see how over here, it's twisted around a little bit. We're going to be looking at the base of the stitch. So here's the base of the stitch. And again, because I knit one row first, it's a little bit more obvious than if you were just going right from cast on, but you'll still see that every stitch has a base and you want it going in the same direction. So what I do is just sort of go along, and I'm just going to be raising this up here just so that you can see, and just making sure that everything is going in the same direction. Just like this. Okay, and this side actually all looks like it's going in the same direction. So even though this is flipping up a little bit, I have confirmed that it is going in the right direction. So as you can see, now the base of all the stitches are all going in that same direction. So once I've confirmed that all my stitches are going in the same direction, I don't have any twists, I'm going to take a marker and I'm going to put it on the right needle. So that's my marker for beginning of round. And then I'm going to insert my right needle into the first stitch on the left needle. Now, if I were working in stockinette stitch and I were going to be knitting my first round, I would just insert my needle like I typically would knitwise. In the case of azalea, our first round is actually a purl round. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be bringing the yarn, the working yarn, to the front and inserting the needle purlwise into that first stitch. So it just depends on which stitch is your next round. Before I actually purl that stitch, I do one more sort of inventory to make sure that during that process of moving the yarn and inserting the needle tip, that nothing got twisted again, because sometimes that can happen. So I'm just gonna raise this up just so you can see. Okay, I've double checked. All the bases of my stitches are all still going in the same direction. So it is now safe. So I'm now going to purl that first stitch. And then I would just go ahead and work the remaining stitches till I get back around to the beginning of round. Now, one thing you'll notice, and you'll especially notice once you kind of come back around, that there's going to be some looseness right around the beginning of marker. Don't worry about that, because when you're weaving in your ends at the end, you're going to take this tail and you can cinch up any looseness that appears. But it is normal for there to be some looseness there. So don't be concerned if you see that. So that is how you join to work in the round when working on a long circular needle.